Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Lorden Arts channel. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here today. Case Cracked is the show where we look into a mystery, and what are the critical pieces that help solve that mystery. Today's episode is called Perfect World. It took the Zaman family years to migrate to Markham, Ontario, Canada. Originally from Bangladesh, Monterose Zaman hoped to start a family someplace new with his wife, Mumtaz. This region offered many more opportunities to the couple. Monterose was the first to migrate. When he was on sound financial footing working for a local taxi company, he sent for his wife to join him. Soon, Mumtaz was bringing in more income for their family while working in property rental. While this helped pay for their two children, Melissa and her brother Menhaz, Mumtaz was still left with more than she could handle. That was when they sent for her mother, Feroza Begum, who was to move to Markham to help her with the household and the children. Everyone in the family worked hard to raise the children with the mantra, education and hard work are the foundations to success. The children excelled in their studies. Years later, a 22-year-old Melissa was studying at university and had her sights set on becoming a neurosurgeon. 23-year-old Menhaz was set to graduate from York University with a degree in mechanical engineering. He had his sights set on a master's degree. Monterose and Mumtaz loved to brag about their son. They would always tell everyone that he always put his family first and had a bright future ahead of him. The afternoon before Menhaz's graduation, on July 28, 2019, around 3 p.m., Discord's Perfect World server, a multiplayer game that was released back in 2005, blew up. The private server, called Perfect World Void, had received messages from Menhaz's account saying that he was going to kill his whole family. He then sent them pictures of two murdered women, who he claimed were his mother and his grandmother. He stated that when his sister and father got home, he would kill them as well. He said he was taking a nap and playing some video games. Quickly, people on the message board began a Google search for the pictures Menhaz had sent, hoping to find that the images were copied from some other source. They found no corresponding images because the pictures were real. Some people on the server considered Menhaz to be a troll. Most of his taunts were lighthearted until around 2018, when his attitude became worse and he began to share details about his life on Void. He stated that he was a former Muslim and was quick to ridicule the religion and offered many racial slurs to others. In March of 2019, he had began talking of ending his own life as well as his family's. Although they were worried, his statements were considered a bad joke and he was banned for a short time from Void. Menhaz continued his confession, saying that he had planned the murder for 3 years. He had never attended an engineering program at York University as his family thought. Instead, he enrolled at Seneca College only to fail his classes. In 2015, he was given the opportunity to take the classes over, but he failed them again and dropped out of school. At first, he stayed on campus, where he used their Wi-Fi to play Perfect World. He began using free Wi-Fi at other places to fill his day before returning home to his family, where he would continue to lie. He stated that he had killed his family out of cowardice, as he was too afraid to tell them of his double life and his academic failure. The group now faced quite a dilemma. No one knew who Menhaz really was or where he lived. They knew little details about his life, such as the fact that he lived in Canada, but no specifics. At 11 p.m. that night, he told the group that he had killed his sister, and he was now waiting for his father, who would be home in about an hour. He included pictures of his dead sister as well as a family photo from a birthday party as proof of who the individuals were. The forum knew they would somehow have to find his address and report this to the police. While they worked to find his address, Menhaz kept talking to them. A new chat room was made. This one included his friends that were known to live in Canada. As the group worked feverishly to find Menhaz, a new post and pictures showed that his father was now dead as well. Soon, others who were not on the server started to receive the same pictures and messages as void. Now, Menhaz said that he wanted to end the night quickly and had started to spam the pictures out, hoping it would get him caught that much faster. Even as he expressed his wish, he refused to give anyone information that could be used to find him. Menhaz's IP address was the best shot at locating him. An IP address is a unique identifier for internet-connected devices that can give an indication of their geographic location. Once it was found and connected to a home address, the police could be called. However, IP addresses can be hard to track down, as people can use a business server to confuse authorities, as well as using a VPN that would route the person through a server not at the user's home. The group asked Menhaz, "What are you going to do now?" One of his answers was, "Go see my girlfriend." They now had a fifth person's life on the line. That was when the Void community got lucky. Menhaz had stated that he wanted to send his friends money through PayPal, as he wouldn't need it where he was going. Once they had his PayPal account, they were able to find previous payments made, and his home address was found in that information. The local police were called and given the information. The next message from Menhaz read, "Police are here. Goodbye." At about 3 p.m. on the 29th, York Regional Police knocked at Menhaz's home and took him into custody without incident. Inside, police found the bodies of 70-year-old Feroza, 59-year-old Monaros, 21-year-old Malesa, and 50-year-old Mumtaz. All had been killed by being struck first to incapacitate them, and then he used a knife to end their lives. Menhaz was arrested and initially charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. In September of 2020, he pled guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder for his mother. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 40 years. The presiding judge said it was, quote, "a betrayal of trust that took place in the family home where everyone should feel safe." Menhaz's statement to the court read, quote, "I'm not sure who this is going to reach, but I would like to just apologize to anyone I have impacted negatively with my actions, and especially to the people who knew my family and friends and loved ones who I know could never see something like this from me happening. I'm sorry." His close friends and family weren't the only ones hurt by his actions. The people from the Void server who participated in Menhaz's capture also blame themselves for not being able to stop these events. They wonder if they had taken him seriously when his trolling and threats became more severe, would his family still be alive? One forum member said, quote, "I should have maybe paid more attention to what he said on Thursday. I might have had a chance to stop this." Case cracked. I would like to thank globalnews.ca, torontonews.ctvnews.ca, The Mirror, The Star, and Vice.com. Of course, the biggest thank you goes to Christy Arnhart for researching and writing up today's case, and here she is now to discuss it with us. Christy, you know I do a bit of gaming online myself. I can't imagine how I would be feeling if I thought something like that was going on with one of the other homes that I'm being virtually connected to like that. I mean, that's it would literally drive me nuts. That's like kind of a nightmare of mine to be in that situation.
It would be. And I mean, you look at the poor people on this server, a lot of them are still so traumatized by what happened. And then the other half is sitting there still blaming themselves, saying, I should have seen these red flags earlier. I should have seen this.
Yeah. Yeah. And in a way, you kind of almost have to breach some things that you would, I mean, part of what we like about it is anonymity, right? Like that's why we like being in situations like that. They had to go full on cyberstalker to try to figure this out. I think it's super clever that they were able to use PayPal in that way to find his address. I mean, that was the closest personal thing where it's like, oh, okay, this is an actual account for this person. Really, really clever that someone figured that out.
These people should not blame themselves at all. They found him in 5 hours. That's amazing.
Almost unheard of. And on the flip side of that, don't go passing around your PayPal information, apparently, if you're putting your address in for payments for certain things.
Yeah.
We've seen so many attention seekers online You know, if I had a nickel for every time I saw a post about some time traveler that came back from the future to tell us how the world's going to end. And it's weird because this could have been one of those instances. You could have had someone that was just making up this story and, you know, kind of the way they were thinking about it, like, well, let's look at those pictures. Let's see if we can find them somewhere else. Are these from a horror movie or something?
What that was really good thinking too, because I would have panicked immediately. I wouldn't have even thought that they were fake, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you had people that were basically going kind of internet detective on this,
Hmm.
but it just shows that just a little bit of caring and taking that extra time to kind of like challenge the thought of, oh, this is just someone that's seeking attention or something like that. Caring just a little bit about people on the other side of the screen can be really, really important. And I hope that we get that across with our work that we do here, obviously.
Me too. I know a lot of the communities that I've been in and out of on the internet, some of them are respectful, some of them are not. You see some really good ones shine through though. And I'm so glad that they're there because they help people. I mean, I've saw our people do it during live streams.
Yeah.
There are good places to go. There are bad places to go too,
Yeah, you kind
unfortunately.
of you make connectivity with people if you hang in those situations long enough. All of a sudden
Mhm,
there'll be like a certain circle and you're kind of it might be small. It might be like two or three people that you keep reconnecting with time and time again. But,
mhm.
you know, I mean, if one of my Call of Duty buddies, like I thought he was in risk, his life was at risk or something like that, like yeah, like that would I'd try to do something. I don't know if I
Oh,
could be as clever
definitely.
as the people in today's episode, but
Me either, but can you imagine what this would be like if it had hit our server?
you know, yeah, we have a Discord server, and honestly, I would never want any of our community to have to face something
No,
like that. But
no.
I know that community pretty well, and I know that they would literally do everything they could to help out in that situation. And with how good they are at GeoGuessr, Christie, and online research,
They
I,
wouldn't stand a chance.
yeah, I think they'd have a pretty good shot at cracking the case.
They definitely would. Now, let me ask you a question here because we've covered another case similar to this one, and I don't understand why would anybody choose to kill their parents rather than tell them the truth? I know there are consequences, and I know it's scary, but you'd rather be a murderer than just tell them the truth?
Yeah, yeah, you
I mean, help
really
me understand this.
I I wish I could. I wish I could. To think of like even if you just sat down with a sheet of paper and did a pros and cons of each of those two situations and the
Mhm,
outcomes. I mean, he was expecting to get caught. He was literally doing things to try to entice himself getting caught. So he knew like there was some part of his brain that was acting logical enough that he knew he was going to wind up in prison for a long period of time.
mhm.
To rather do that than to just say, "Hey mom, hey dad, I'm sorry to have let you down, but I'm not going to school. I haven't been. I know you guys want this big success, and we've raised this family on the mantra about education. I just don't fit into that." Um, I mean, even at the worst, think of what's the worst possible thing his parents could have said. We disown you. You
Yeah.
have to leave. Okay. Then what? Go find yourself a job, get yourself another Wi-Fi connection, and go back to perfect world. Like there's still like if you run all these situations through, there's a good outcome, but I still think we look into so many of these cases where I think there's a fantasy element in people's heads about the possibility of getting away with it or other ways that this could happen and things that might happen. Maybe he thought by doing it this way that he would get all the inheritance and then he would be able to live in the home on his own forever and ever, just playing video games and not having to work because he had money that his parents had made or something. I don't know. There's some clear he seems logical in some ways and then there's a clear break in there that I just can't I can't understand it.
I mean, I know that they wanted their children to succeed. And I know that in some other cultures, that kind of success, not just for you, but for your family, elevates everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, it's murder is never the answer here. I don't see it.
Yeah, but I'll never forget that, I was told by Dr. Laura Petler that it is conflict resolution for the murderer, and this is literally a case of that. Like, it's a pretty direct. This was him avoiding conflict, just not having to deal with it.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for all your hard work on today's episode, Christy. We really appreciate you, and I've got some other people to thank right now. Thank you, PayPal supporters Sigrid E. O'Hearn and Jennifer Dixon. For over 6 years, we've always run limited commercial ads here on YouTube, and we can't do that without support. If you'd like to help the channel keep going and growing, please visit lordandarts.com. There you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, buy merchandise, or even just buy us a coffee like Shauna Blackwood recently did. We know that learning about the mechanisms that help support and find justice in these cases is important to understand the many unsolved cases we also cover, and we really appreciate your support in allowing us to continue doing that. Remember, you can get another Lord and Art story every week on the Seriously Mysterious podcast. A new episode is coming tomorrow and every Tuesday after that. Visit seriouslymysterious.com and subscribe on your favorite podcatchers. While you're here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon below so you'll never miss a new show. And I'll see you again on Friday with another unsolved mystery right here on the Lord and Arts channel.